From the deep southeast corner of Arizona to the bright city lights of Las Vegas, this is Mackenzie Kimbrough, a sixth-generation cattle rancher with deep roots in rodeo too. Embracing our heritage and keeping legacies alive, stay tuned as we showcase shades of our southwestern lifestyle coming together during the NFR. Ranching, rodeo, fashion, and cowboy culture. This is Roots Run Deep, Vegas edition. Hey friends, welcome into Roots Run Deep Vegas edition. I'm your host, Mackenzie Kimbrough, and joining me on the show today is one of our dearest friends, Bear Pascoe, and the laundry list is long for this one. There are so many titles that I could introduce you as. Cowboy, former Super Bowl champion, well not former, you are a Super Bowl champion, that lives with you forever. Former professional football player, you're a coach and you're a speaker, you're a father and a husband and a family man. There's so much to get into today. Bear, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me. I'd love for you to start things off by telling us about your roots and where you come from.
Awesome. I just want to first say thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here. I grew up in the Central Valley of California. My dad managed a ranch for a family, so from my earliest recollections, I was on a ranch, and we were punching cows and fixing fence and shipping, just doing everyday life that takes place on a ranch. And elementary school, I fell in love with sports and got really into football and decided I wanted to go on and make that a career. And so my mom and dad were amazing, and they did everything they could to make that happen. And I was blessed enough for it to come true.
Yeah, you were recruited by Fresno State. Am I right on that? And then that was pretty straight out of high school.
Yep.
Went through Fresno State, graduated with a degree, and then went drafted immediately out of college to the NFL. Talk through a little bit about your experience. You went to the 49ers first, is that right?
Yeah, I was drafted in the 6th round to the 49ers. Yeah. Thought it was a dream come true. Yeah. Turned out not to be.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's okay. I learned the brutality of the business very quick. Sure. And a week later, found a home with the New York Giants, and I was there for 5 years, and it was a godsend. I really loved being there. The team, the atmosphere, the owners, they were all absolutely amazing.
And there was a Super Bowl championship that came with the time at the New York Giants. There's a ring on your hand there. That's pretty epic.
Yep.
And you were a pretty big part of making that Super Bowl championship happen. You were a big player in that game. Talk us through what that experience was like for you.
It was pretty amazing. And, I was just one little part of the bigger picture. And but it really didn't hit me till about an hour before the game started. I was out on the field at the 50-yard line and kind of looking at the Super Bowl emblem on the field, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to play in the biggest game of my career that I dreamt about when I was like 6 years old, and it's about to happen.
Yeah.
It was pretty surreal. It's awesome.
Oh, very cool. And I feel like as a football fan, I love college football, but I also love professional football. Have to say, when you were playing, of course, we were Giants fans, but you guys beat the Patriots, and we were Patriots fans too. But that's a pretty epic win, honestly. That was in the middle of a heck of an era for the Patriots. For you guys to beat them was a big deal.
Yeah, it really was. They were really on the top of their game at that point, and it was a great win. We'd played them earlier in the season and beat them then as well, and then so to come back in the Super Bowl and have another chance to play an amazing team. And it wasn't a very high-scoring game.
No.
And we gave them the ball back with about a minute and a half left on the clock. And when you got Tom Brady, you give him that much time, he's bound to do something. And we had an amazing defense that year, and they did their jobs very well. But the last 30 seconds, I was holding my breath.
Oh, for sure. I think everybody probably was, because as you said, when you give Tom Brady a chance at something, he's going to capitalize on it, but I'm really glad that it worked out in your favor on that one. That's pretty neat. I know you had your family there with you for that. What an amazing experience to do that. And then, of course, you went on for a couple more years in the NFL, visited a few more cities along the way, a few more great teams, I'm sure. When you decided to hang the hat up and not, play professional football anymore, What was the thought process there? Were you just ready to go back home and ranch and start into your rodeo career?
Yeah, I was kind of getting to the point in my career where it was just one-year contracts, and I was actually at New England with the Patriots going through training camp. It was a tough situation. They signed me the day before training camp started and just kind of threw the book at me and was like, "Here, good luck. If you know the snap count, great. If you don't,
figure it out.
Figure it out, yeah. And I wasn't performing to my level of standards, and I knew I wasn't performing to their standards. So after our second preseason game, I kind of told them, I was like, hey, we need to part ways. Like, this isn't a good fit. I'm honored to be here, but it's not working right. And in my mind, I thought I was going to have a chance to go find another home somewhere else, and turns out it didn't work out that way. And I decided to just start with the next chapter, and started steer wrestling, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, God has a plan, and I feel like we talk about that a lot on this show. We may not know why one door is closing, but He has 3 more doors ready to open for us. And I know that you changed careers at the right time. It may not have seemed like it in the moment, but it's definitely the path that you were meant to take. Mm-hmm. Jumping into steer wrestling, you started out and really kind of hit things off pretty quick. It seemed like you had a great resource that you were able to talk to as well. Of course, a lot of guys that were currently steer wrestlers, but a father-in-law also, Pro Rodeo Hall of Famer John Jones Jr. Yep. And that's incredible. I feel like that the in-law side of your family is amazing too, and we'll talk about Cate, your wife, here in a minute. But how impactful was Johnny as a coach or as someone that you could just ask about things when you were starting out steer wrestling?
He was huge because he's just a wealth of knowledge. And so I actually started working with him in 2015 when I was actually still playing football. I had some downtime, so I was trying to find a team, and so we started our groundwork then. And but he's amazing because he just keeps it so simple. And I'm coming from a sport where you analyze every single step, and he's just like looking at me days at practice like, just keep it simple, stupid. And but from technique to how you want your horse to feel when you're going down the arena to entering, he was just a wealth of knowledge. And I really appreciate him taking the time to teach me.
And you have such a resource in him, and that's so neat to be able to have that opportunity. And of course, it's almost like the steer wrestlers are the most friendly group of guys. You guys are all helping each other out all the time, every step of the way, which is amazing. What were some of the most memorable moments from your time going down the road and competing? Because it went on for a couple of years. You got your permit in 2017, I believe, and then went till about 2023?
Yeah, 2023, and have taken some time off, had a boy, and getting him raised up, but we're going to get back at it this year. Not going hard or anything like that, but we're going to circuit rodeo and have fun with it and get back to competing. Just have that need for some competition. And a lot of it is like looking back on steer wrestling with the boys and stuff like that, but a lot of it was not so much in the arena, but out of it, like going down the road, driving to the next rodeo, just guys goofing off. But yeah, those are the most things you remember, is just being in the truck with the guys and having fun, playing games and playing cards.
Who were some of your best buddies on the way?
Oh man, I got to give a nod to Bill Buganig and Sterling Lambert. They were the ones my rookie year that kind of took me under their wings and let me go rodeo with them during the winter, and had so much fun getting to be around those guys because they kept it light. They kept it fun. And Tucker Allen, who's at the NFR, rodeoed a lot with him when he was coming up, and we were kind of together. Tate Stickler, Luke, had times in the truck with him. So, a lot of knowledge right there.
Yeah, when you guys are going down the road, you've got a lot of time to spend with each other. And, of course, keep it light and try to get your head in the game when it's time, but try to keep your head out of the game when things aren't going your way or you didn't have a good run or whatever.
Yeah.
But how important is it to have that community of guys that you can really, talk through things with, and have them help you kind of let it go if things didn't go right, and then celebrate and be better even for the next one?
It's amazing, because you have this kind of a band of brothers. Doesn't matter what's going on. If say Tucker goes out first and just makes a great run, he's right back in the box, rooting for the next guy. And say I was after him, he's just like, oh, let's go, come on, get after it. Or if one of us is fighting our heads on something, we're all there to help them and help them work through it, and not let one bad run turn into two. And I kind of learned that from Blake Knowles. He's a great guy, and I spent a lot of time with him my rookie year. up in the Northwest, and just being around him and his dad and all the Bulldoggers that were staying there at the house is having a very short memory.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have bad runs. It's, you know, it's going to happen.
Sure.
but don't let that one bad run turn into two.
Yeah.
You know, look at it, recognize it, figure out what went wrong, fix it, and move on.
Yeah, that's good life advice too. I feel like, and I probably could take this advice personally here. I'm an overthinker on a lot of things, but you could
It's
apply
easy to
that.
do.
Yeah, you could apply that to anything in life. You know, if things don't work out in the moment, there's another thing coming up the road, and you've got to just move on and go for that.
Yeah.
And I know while you're going down the road, of course, there's a family support system at home that's cheering for you as well.
Oh,
I want
yeah.
to talk about your wife, Katie, here for a second, because she's quite the hand herself.
She is.
And
very much so.
she's out there competing. She's training on horses. She's a new mom. Of course, you guys had a sweet little babe here recently. But talk a little bit about Katie. Sing her praises a bit. And her roots, of course, also in that Central California region. Comes from a rodeo family and picked it up for her career, too.
Yeah, she's basically coming from rodeo royalty with her dad. Her mom competed as well,
Yeah.
but Johnny, 3-time world champ. You know, I give her a lot of credit, and she was with me through my football years. We started dating right as I got into the NFL, and she was like, no, I want to be there with you. So she kind of put her dreams on hold so I could go chase mine. And then when we both got done, I got done playing football, we both kind of hit it at the same time. And, you know, she has some amazing horses, and she really takes the time to put into them. You know, I really am proud of her for that, and the time she takes with her especially with her young horses. And she really enjoys working with the fraternity colts, and really takes a lot of pride in that. And she does a really, really good job.
She does, and I know she's very much respected for what she does and how she trains and how she does all of those things. It's neat to be able to see two high-level performance athletes married and, you know, with a great relationship, and being able to compromise for each other and compromise with each other. There's times where you were the focus, there's times where she's the focus, and then there's plenty of time where you're both partners in everything. And of course, now you're new parents.
Yep.
How's that going?
It's absolutely amazing. We got our little boy Zane. He's found out that he can walk.
Perfect.
And he's learning that he can run.
Yep.
And so I used to be able, 2 months ago, put him down somewhere and he'd stay, and I could get on a tractor and then grab him and stuff. And now I put him down and he's gone in a flash.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh dear God, where'd he go?
Yeah. He's going to be running that tractor for you pretty soon.
Loves tractors, loves horses, and loves girls.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Wow, you're going to have your hands full.
I am. I'm just counting the days until he can actually start talking.
Right.
And I'm going to be in big trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's blonde-haired and blue-eyed, looks just like his mama.
Oh.
He's amazing, and man, my only regret is we didn't start sooner.
Sure.
I would have loved to had him when we were playing football. So
Yeah. I think, back to those things work out when they're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, he's in your life at the right time.
Yes,
it's been neat to know you guys through so many different life stages and see how family really is at the root of it all. And there's more family to talk about. You have a brother, Ryan.
Yep.
Him and his wife, Michelle, and then her brother, Joey, and his wife, Jessica. They all started with their parents, Vintage Cowboy Winery.
Oh, yeah.
And we had them on our very first year of having the show in Las Vegas. Somebody was too busy for us that year, but a few years later, fast forward, glad you're here today.
Yep.
But had the whole family up here to talk about Vintage Cowboy Winery a while back, and that's so neat. That's a generational operation, and it's so cool to see how they tie in the cowboy culture with everything that they do there.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that and your brother Ryan, because he's also up here team roping at the World Series. He's got a lot going on too.
Yeah, he's roping today in the 10 out there, and man, when you think about your top athletes in the world of football or basketball, your Tom Brady's, your Michael Jordans, and guys at that level. That's him in the cowboy world. He is a top hand through and through. He's a dogman. He's a horseman, and I love going to cowboy with him. Yeah. But he makes me feel like a moron sometimes, and it's not his fault because I am. But
no, he's just out there more, maybe.
He is. But yes, they have Vintage Cowboy Winery out in Pozo Valley. Yeah. It's an amazing winery, rooted in the Western heritage. Doing very well. I mean, they every weekend it seems like they have an event happening out there. A lot of people are finding out about it. Their labels are amazing.
Yeah.
Their wines are amazing. I'm not a wine drinker, but I love to have me a vintage Cowboy,
Yeah.
red here and there, and with a good steak, and they pair very well with that. And,
Sure.
Yeah, and Michelle's out here this weekend too with them, and their oldest girl Reagan.
Yeah.
She's here. The youngest one, Emery, she's playing basketball right now, so she
Okay.
wasn't able to make it. But yeah, she's the athlete of the group. So
Sure. Seems like that love of the West and love of sports and athletics
Yeah.
runs pretty deep in all sides of the family here.
it really does, and it goes hand in hand. The lessons you learn out on the ranch kind of play over into the sports world. Learning how to work hard and take your job serious, and having standards of quality of work.
Yeah. And you're also respected for what you do because of the people that you are. And you also have a sister that is, every time I mention the Pascoe sisters, Sarah,
Yeah.
everybody says, man, that girl, she knows what she's doing. She's a hand. They
Oh, yeah.
compliment her more than they compliment the boys sometimes.
They do.
And they're all really respectable people. Talk a little bit about Sarah, too.
Sarah's amazing. She's got a very unfun job.
Yeah.
She's a CO at Corcoran Prison, but she ropes better than Ryan and I, put together probably.
Yeah.
Heals very well, has a great little heel horse, has the biggest heart of anybody I know, and loves her nieces and nephews, loves her family. She's awesome, and I mean, gorgeous to boot. So.
Yeah, no kidding. It's not an unattractive family, that Pascoe bunch, for sure. Bear, you've had amazing careers in multiple venues at this point, and kind of looking towards the next step, you've started a coaching program and kind of a mentorship opportunity for student athletes and young people, both in athletics with football and then also in rodeo, and you've accepted a position with Cal Poly as well as an assistant coach. Talk us through the mentorship program first and then how things came about with Poly.
Yeah, I started an online training program called Full Speed Performance. Because when we were young kids stepping on the field, coaches are play fast. So you got to make full speed decisions on the field and go play fast. But you learn that by repetition, developing confidence in your technique, and so that's one thing I focus on. A lot of weight training, speed, agility, stuff like that. The things I talk about when I'm on stage is having a plan, learning how to solve problems, perseverance, and then falling in love with the process of it all. Because if you don't love the process, then why do it?
Yeah.
Because
it's a hard process to get there. You might as well enjoy it along the way.
It really is. And anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And you're going to need a team around you. So that's one of the other things I talk about in my problem solving is building a strong team around you to help you solve those problems. And that's one thing I bring to Cal Poly as well. Accepting that position there, which has been amazing. I love being able to work with Ben Londo and Drew Tilton. They're great coaches. They're great men. And getting to work with those young athletes and kind of hand down some of the things I've learned through my time in college, playing a high level sport, time management. You don't take classes, you take professors.
Yeah.
Helping these kids kind of find their way through college and help them in and out of the arena.
Sure, and what you just mentioned there I think is so important, the in and out of the arena element to it, because generationally I think outside of the Western industry particularly, the newest generations of kids are becoming more and more distant from those rooted values. And it's tough because the world's moving fast and, social media and technology is moving even faster. And it's important to have mentors like you in those young kids' lives that can teach them not only the technique, not only the, important elements on the field or in the arena, but also the life skills and the communication and the responsibility and all that comes with just being a good person outside of your time as an athlete.
Yeah, and it all starts with just a strong foundation.
Yeah.
We got to build that foundation with our young people. Confidence, respect, hard work. if we can instill that in them at a young age, those are lessons they can carry on with them the rest of their lives.
Definitely. And looking forward, I know it's not like you don't have enough irons in the fire already. You guys always have a lot going on. But ranching is coming full circle and making a bigger part of your life again. Talk
Yeah.
us through that, because I know that's pretty cool generationally on the other side of things.
Yeah, that's been fun. That's another iron, like you said. We're kind of, Katie and I are starting to take over back home in Morro Bay. Johnny's wanting to go enjoy his fourth quarter and go hunt and fish and do all that. So he needs somebody he can rely on back home. So that's kind of been my role I've been stepping into, of taking care of the cows. And like here in the next couple of weeks, when we start getting some rains, we're going to start planting hay and starting to learn that process as well. And it's been a lot of fun. It's hectic, but it's good.
Yeah, it's all good, and it's all rooted in family, and you're doing what you love. That really brings it
Exactly.
back to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
As long as you enjoy what you do, you got to work hard at it, but it's a good life to live for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
I'd love to round things out with you today by just asking you, as someone who's had such a successful career in so many different ways, as someone who, coaches and mentors young people and is such a good friend to all, what is some advice that you would give to young people who are looking to pursue a career and they know it's going to be a tough journey ahead, but it's definitely going to be worth it at the end? What's some advice for along the way?
So if I was to speak to, a young athlete or something like that in any world, whether it's Western world or athletic world, is one, have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
I mean, down to the minute details of jersey you're going to wear, the color of your, the horse you want to ride, or whatever it may be. But have a crystal clear picture of where you want to go and what you want to do.
Yeah.
Create a plan, learn to work hard, and absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And don't forget to dream big.
Oh man, that's probably the most important part. That aspiration and inspiration is just as important, because that's what really keeps you motivated along the way.
It really does. It really does. I mean, you gotta be totally invested and just love what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's clear to see that you love what you do, and I'm sure thankful for you for spending some time with me on the show today.
Thank you.
Glad that you were able to make it work with the schedule. He's a busy guy, but always there for the people in his life. So thank you so much for being here. Bear Pascoe, Cowboy, steer wrestler, Super Bowl champion, former professional football player, coach, mentor, all the things. We love him, and it's always fun to be able to catch up. This is Roots Run Deep Vegas edition. We'll be back with more in just a bit. Hey friends, welcome in to Roots Run Deep Vegas edition. I'm your host, Mackenzie Kimbrough, and joining me on the show today is someone that I have honestly idolized and respected for so long, Kirbe Schnoor. You are deeply rooted in the agriculture industry. You've made an incredible career in the media field as well. We have so much to talk about today. I'm so thankful for you for being here. Before we get into all of the amazing adventures that you've had over the past couple of years, let's talk about your roots and where you come from.
Thank you so much, Mackenzie, for having me on. You are someone I've idolized and admired for so long.
Gosh.
You're actually someone I've tried to get on Rancher several times.
Scheduling. We're working on it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. But yeah, I come from the Central Valley in California. My family farms and runs cattle. I grew up traveling across the country showing cattle. So it was always in conjunction with rodeo. But I never rodeoed, which made my mom really sad. She comes from a rodeo family, and my dad, both of them also come from agriculture families. But yeah, I have always loved the way of life. I love where our food comes from, where our clothes come from. Agriculture, livestock industries are just really deep rooted within me. And so when choosing a career, being able to talk about that and spread the good word of agriculture is just something I'm really passionate about.
Have you always been interested in pursuing it from the media side of things, or did you maybe think you were going into production ag before media became an opportunity for you?
Well, truthfully, I was hopeful to go into agriculture law. I thought I would be maybe a water rights attorney, but after going to university, I was like, I don't know if I could do this many years of college.
Yeah.
So, that dream was cut a little short.
Sure, that's okay. God has a plan, and that just wasn't the plan that we thought we were going down.
You're exactly right.
Along the way, you spent a lot of time, of course, with your family, as you said. Before we get into your career, I want to touch on your sisters, because I know they've played a big role in your life as well. I know that cattle have played a big role in your life, and all of the things that you did through FFA and showing Angus. And I'd love for you to just be able to talk us through that a little bit before we get into, Kirbe growing up and going off and pursuing a career.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you bringing up my sisters. My family obviously is the utmost important to me, and I wouldn't be where I am today without them. My sisters are just the backbone of everything we do as well. And my older sister, Amanda, my younger sister, Sydney. But it was Amanda's dream to have a cattle operation and start Schnoor Sisters Cattle Company, and she did. And that's what took us all over the country showing cattle and, again, putting me on the platform and the path that I am today.
Yeah, and deeply rooted in agriculture and a love for it from so many different perspectives. When you decided to go ahead and not pursue agricultural law, you changed degree plans and went on to go for journalism. What was the idea behind that?
Well, I think if I wasn't able to fight for people's rights, obviously inside the courtroom, what better way than to tell their story at least? And so I pursued, obviously, mass communications and journalism in college. And then I went out and was looking for a job. And when I graduated, the economy wasn't in the best situation. But I was fortunate enough to have a family friend who connected me. I got connected with Superior Livestock Auction, which was on RFD TV. And then, my journey began right there with Patrick Gotch and the Gotch family.
From California to Cowtown, as they say. Quite the journey, quite the step there. When you were working with Superior and starting out with Patrick Gotch, I know that was in the beginning of, really his expansion of the vision for RFD TV. And of course, he might have known what was to come, but none of us surely did. Not knowing that the Cowboy channel was coming down the line as well. But it's really beautiful what Patrick was able to grow RFD TV into, and I know he's made such an impact in so many people's lives, of course, ours included. What was it like working with him in those early days through the building of something so special?
Oh, I mean, it was amazing, and it's something I don't take for granted, and I don't take lightly. I'll tell you, but when he had the idea for Cowboy Channel, it was rural TV first, then it went to Family Net, and then it became the Cowboy Channel. And I'll never forget, him and I were sitting in New Orleans at breakfast, and he said, "Okay, you got to leave the Superior office, and you got to come across the street. I bought the visitors building, and we're going to start this thing called the Cowboy Channel." And I was like, "Okay, here we go. I'm on board."
That's pretty much how Patrick worked, honestly. It seems like he had an idea and it was all hands on deck because it was going to be pursued and it was going to be something that came to fruition. When you started working with Cowboy Channel and all of that, building a network is not something that is for the faint of heart. And I know the team had a lot of heart behind that. And it was so special to know that Patrick Gotch's legacy was continued on after. And it's not lost on the industry, I don't think, his impact on everything. And so I know that you really value those memories of being able to work with him in such a special way. When you first started working in television on that side of things, that had to be a little bit of a learning curve. I know you went to college for it, but really getting out into the real world experience of it all is kind of maybe a shock at first.
Oh, most definitely. And again, when I graduated, obviously the job market wasn't there. But I was a backpack journalist, so I could shoot, I could write, I could edit, I could produce, and I could also host. And I think that was super beneficial, and that's also what's helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't afraid to do the jobs a lot of people didn't want to do, right? And I could answer the phone, and I sat on the bid line. I did all those things, which weren't as glamorous, but it wasn't that I just immediately picked up a microphone and got in front of the TV.
Yeah.
That was, or the camera, I should say. That was not how it went. And it's still not like that today. Janie and Johnson and I talk about this all the time. I mean, we love getting Butch Knowles coffee, right? Who doesn't? But we were not afraid to do the jobs that were not glamorous. And I think that is what's helped propel us into our situations and our careers where we are today.
And it's so important, I think, that you mentioned that because I feel like nowadays, especially with the growth of the Cowboy Channel and RFD and, people seeing all these amazing hosts on the TV and traveling to all these rodeos and producing all of these shows, they think that it is glamorous and that that's all you do is you're just the host and the pretty face that gets to talk to everybody in front of the camera. But the reality of it is there's a learning curve that comes with this, and the best on-air hosts are the ones that know what production is behind the scenes. And you guys definitely put in the hours of that.
Yeah, and you know that better than anybody else as well. I mean, you know all the hard work and dedication that goes into it. The long hours, the late nights, the traveling. There's been plenty of times I'll never forget. One of our executive producers, Matt Schultz, called me, and I think I was maybe in Spanish Fork, Utah, and he said, "Hey, you can't come home. We got to get you to Estes Park." Like, and at that time there wasn't as many people there to be on camera, but it was like Amy Wilson, myself, Janie, and so I'll never forget going to Target to buy something to wear, for the next rodeo, and just being, okay, I've got to change my plans up, and this, you kind of feel like you're living the rodeo life, but I'm not driving down the road with a truck and trailer or a Capri camper. I was flying to most of the places, but you really had to adapt to the lifestyle and go on the fly. But again, it's because I'm so passionate about this industry. I had no problem doing that because I wanted to share these stories of these amazing people. And I really did believe in what Patrick was building and obviously what it's become today.
Definitely. And you said something really important there. You can't be afraid to do the hard work, but you also have to kind of learn how to adapt and, fly and roll with the punches and make the best of every situation, because you can make best laid plans and sometimes that's just not how things work out. And so it's your job, especially as an on-air person, to make it look like that was the original plan and to roll with it. And it's been so cool to see so many of the different programs that you've been on in so many different states and all across the country. I know there was a lot of involvement here at the National Finals Rodeo in the last couple of years too, which is really the pinnacle of success for the rodeo industry, and is something that is also a pinnacle of success when it comes to the media side of things. Being able to be in those positions and have those opportunities to not only talk to these top athletes, but also to share a little of the behind the scenes with everybody at home and bring these stories to life. Talk a little bit about your time in the various shows that had to do with the finals and how important that was to you.
Well, when 2020 hit and, the NFR was basically called off and Patrick said, we worked too hard for this, worked too hard to get the PRCA contract, all of that. In 90 days, our team, boots on the ground, made that happen in Texas. And we came up with the concept of the Tailgate Show. And it was a 3-hour live television show. And let me tell you, doing 3 hours worth of live television is not easy. Especially when you're doing 4 to 6 minute segments, or you're, trying to get sometimes people to talk who aren't usually used to talking. And juggling all of that and making it still entertaining for the people at home and the people that were in Fort Worth. I keep saying challenging, but it was also great. It was so fun. It was so exciting to be a part of. And I think, again, it goes back to, we really wanted to do something for this industry. And we wanted people to recognize and be a part of it. And everyone now says the Yellowstone effect, which I agree. Taylor Sheridan has built something so amazing, and it's put a lot of eyes on the industry. But I actually take it back further. I think when it comes to Superior Livestock Auction, Buddy Jeffers and I just think they started something where people were invested in cattle production then. And then you take it a step further with Patrick Gotch. He put eyes on this industry before anybody was really thinking about it, right? And so I don't know, being a part of that and exposing this industry to people in the various ways that we were able to, and making it fun for them. We did live cooking segments, we did fashion, we did just industry talks. Obviously, we talked to cowboys and cowgirls about, their success and also their struggles. And I think being able to do that, not only for the people though at home, or the people who were there and that loved the industry or didn't know about it, but also for the people a part of the industry. It's just grown tremendously, but it goes back to being able to do that kind of stuff and to see where the Tailgate Show and all the other shows, Deep Dive, Zero In, everything that has been created since then has been great. And aside from that, obviously I host the show Farm Her and Rancher on RFD TV, and I get to travel around the country and tell the amazing stories of women who really are the backbone of our industry. And sometimes people say, well, why aren't you talking to the husbands? Well, we do. But let me tell you, when I was at Superior Livestock and I did the 30-minute live show in Superior Sunrise, talking to cattle producers, especially men, depending on the cattle market that day. They don't always want to talk. You say, how's it going? The market's down there. Said, oh, it's good. And you're like, okay, I got to have a little something more than that. So the women are more apt to tell you the story. They will look you in the eye and be like, it's a tough year and I don't know if we're going to make it. We might have to sell out. We can't put, food on our table and clothes on our kids' backs. And that's obviously not always the reality. Some people are, really, you roll with the punches in this industry. And again, going around the country and telling these family stories, but the women especially, and the part they play and the role of this industry is just so vital and so important.
And there was such an incredible vision, I think, behind the creation of Farm Her and Ranch Her. I know Raquel Gotch was a huge part of that as well, and she's really taken it in stride. And you do such an incredible job of hosting that show and really helping to tell those stories that are often not considered, I think, because from the outside looking in, maybe that struggle's not there. And it's really important for people to understand the full picture of something, and you do an amazing job of that. And as you said, talking with the women and getting their perspective, they're also not only part of the operation or running the operation in a lot of cases that you showcase, but also, they're making sure the logistics of everything happen behind the scenes too. They're making all the foods for the cowboy crews, and they're feeding the farmers when they're out in the field during harvest, and all of those things. They're taking care of the kids, they're taking care of the house. They have to have their hands full 24/7 and still have a smile on their face to do it. And so it's neat to see that you show all sides of those stories throughout the show. When this show was first created, I know you haven't been with it quite since the beginning, but you've been with it long enough now to be able to carry on that vision. I'd love to know a little bit about the heart behind it when it first started and how Raquel has really propelled it since.
Yeah, Raquel had a great vision. I'm stepping out and reaching out to Margie, who is the creator from her. I think she did 7 seasons before we continued, or maybe 6. And Raquel just saw something there. But again, she comes from a visionary, right? So the Gotch girls, I mean, they're visionaries. They understand what this industry needs and what it takes. And then for me being a part of it, I think it comes back to, I mean, my mom and dad are here in the crowd today, but again, with the women, my dad was a very hands-on dad, and he was a great father. And I'm not just saying that because it's almost Christmas time and I want to be on, the good list, on Santa's good list.
Never hurts.
Never hurts. But he was out in the field and he was building his operation. But my mom was alongside him that whole time. Not only was she, cooking the meals, getting us ready, she was also taking us to school, doing all that. But she was also helping him in the tractor. And she doesn't let him forget that. She doesn't let us forget that. But I think there was just so much there with the story and behind the scenes where I'm like, wow, women, not to take away from my dad, he does a lot, did a lot.
Yeah.
But my mom really was vital in the success of their operation and what they were building and doing. And then also taking on the stresses, right? Yeah. Had to be the sounding board at home, had to be the shoulder to lean on and cry on, had to be the strong one when things were not going good. And I think sometimes people don't understand the pressures from the household to the operation that the women have to take on. And so I think Raquel saw that from an early age. Maybe their family, born and raised in Nebraska, they have cattle, feedlots there, they farm, they did all the things. And I think she saw what various members in their family did. Yeah. And so when she saw this brand, she knew, okay, we've got to tell these stories. And then bringing me on, she knew we had the same vision and the same heart behind it. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see how many of those incredible stories there are of women in agriculture. Of course, as women in agriculture ourselves, we know that because we live and breathe it every day. But it's so important to be able to continue sharing those. And of course, Farm Her expanded into Ranch Her. Janie Johnson hosted that for quite a while, and then she went and had a baby. So a slight sidestep there. But I'd love to know, what are some of the memorable moments from your time filming these shows so far? I know you're not near done, but there's a lot of stories and a lot of miles going down the road. What's something that stands out to you?
Oh gosh, I get asked this question a lot. Like, do you have a favorite one? And that's so hard because not that you said, do you have a favorite one? But there's so many memorable moments because there's so many differences in all these operations, right? Coming from California, I will always advocate for our agriculture. I mean, we are the #1 agriculture state in America. I know that's hard to believe for some people, but we feed most of the world just from that state and actually from a certain region. But what stands out is the resilience that a lot of these people had and have. When I went to California, and there's an avocado farmer, Megan Shanley is her name, and let me tell you, her dad tragically passed away. Her mom had already passed away, and she was left with this operation that this was not her thing. She had a full-time job. And after we filmed her show, she said, I don't know if I can afford to keep this place going. It's over near Morro Bay, California, and I mean, the property is insanely expensive. Yeah. To keep that operation going is insanely expensive. And I recently caught up with her because I was like, oh, wow, how's it going? And again, family strife. Like, her sister wanted to sell because it's too expensive. And she's been able to create something out of it and keep that going. And so I think that's a big standout story for me, and I don't know if I feel more passionate about it and close to it because it's from the state of California. I understand the taxes, the water rights, all the political things that get into that.
Sure. The things that really complicate what we're just trying to do out here feeding the world. It's so impactful, I feel like, too. These episodes not only, shed a light on these stories and tell these people's stories, but it also is so inspiring to see these women and their resilience and the way that it's inspired me as someone who's grown up with strong role models in the agriculture world. I'm very lucky to have had generations of women that I know how hard it is to do this job, but also how rewarding and how fulfilling it is to keep it going generation after generation. So that's really special that, she's really trying her hand at making something stick and to be able to continue the operation. That's so amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. Here at the finals, we're just going to pivot here a little bit. We've got a lot of irons in the fire. You always have a lot of irons in the fire, but there's something else that's...
I like a full plate.
Yeah, she sure does. And that's something that's I really respect about you too, because you handle it all so well. Here at the finals, I know we were just chatting the other day at an event about some fashion-related things too, because I know we both love fashion. But there's another brand that is kind of near and dear to your heart that you've started a collaborative line with, and that ties back to the roots in the Western way of life as well. I'd love to shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, actually, so Robin Hoffman Hack, she is the owner of Lovely Ranch, and she hadn't created it yet. Her family has a outstanding history in the textile business. Hoffman Fabrics, it's been in business for over 100 years. But we had a good friend, Kathy Branco. Robin was cutting back in the day with her, and anyways, she said, I think I want to break into the Western world and do Western fashion, because why not? And she said, you know what, you need to give Kirbe Schnoor a call. She does lifestyle stuff, is her thing, especially on the Cowboy channel, and fashion is just her jam. So Robin gave me a call and she said, let's do this. So in the beginning, about the first season of stuff, I was just helping. I was just kind of bouncing back and forth things with her, and they put out their first line, and then the second line, she was like, you know what, why don't you do your own label with us? Like, let's do this together. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you. What a dream come true. And so we've been working on it, and we had a booth here last year. We have a booth here this year. And Lovely Ranch, I want to say, is a passion project, but it is just so fun to see people come in there, see, your artwork basically, and then walk around and wear it. And it's, work in progress. We're still a new company, and there's lots of visions we have and lots of places we want to go. And I hope to get there one day. But you look at somebody like Quincy, Rodeo Quincy, Quincy Eldridge, and she's someone I looked up to forever. But she started her business when she was in college at Cal Poly, and to where she is today, I'm like, wow. Way to go, girl, right?
Yes.
Another rancher, family in this industry. And I look at that and I'm like, there's a place for us here. And, she's been a big inspo to me, but she's also been a big mentor and a supporter of what Robin and I are doing. And so I'm super grateful for that as well. And again, who doesn't like to dress well if they can, especially when they're getting off the ranch?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's the time to dress up, right? When we get to wear all our fancy things. It's so cool to know that the Kirbe collection, the Kirbe label under Lovely Ranch, is something that really came to fruition and is taking the industry by storm, because the pieces are so incredibly beautiful. We even have a styling segment coming up here momentarily, which I'm excited to get to. But before we do, I would just love to ask you something, because this is very much a heart-to-heart conversation as well. When you are speaking to young women who are interested in pursuing their passions, but they know that, they may have other responsibilities at the moment, they want to have dual careers or anything like that, as someone who's had a lot of irons in the fire and continues to thrive and keep them all burning, what is some advice that you would give to those younger women as they look to pursue these passion projects?
Great question. I have several things I always like to say to young women. Don't be afraid to do the job that isn't glamorous, like I said. Yep. Take the trash out. Yep. And leave your ego at the door. There's no room for ego here, especially if you want a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. And if you want a seat at the table, pick up the chair and put it there.
Yes.
Sit at the table.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. I have goosebumps, because that's something that's coming from someone who is so incredibly respected in multiple industries at this point. You're venturing into various ones now, from agriculture to media to Western fashion and lifestyle. You're incredible. I'm so thankful for having you on the show today, Kirbe. We are going to reset the stage here and talk a little bit about that Lovely Ranch Kirbe collection label, show you some of the designs, and get a little bit more of that detail coming as well. This has been an amazing amazing interview, and I could go on for hours, but we're going to move on to the next section of it, Kirbe. Thank you for being here. We'll be right back on Roots Run Deep Vegas Edition. Hey friends, welcome back to Roots Run Deep Vegas Edition. I'm your host, Mackenzie Kimbrough, and I'm here with my sweet friend, Kirbe Schnoor. You probably recognize her. She's been all over the Western media industry for the last couple of years. We've seen her on shows such as Farm Her, Ranch Her, and also on a lot of the NFR shows and others on the Cowboy channel and RFD TV. Big impact on the industry. We've touched on a lot in your interview today, but I could not let you go without showcasing a few of the designs from your signature collection with Lovely Ranch. Of course, we started touching on that a moment ago, but Lovely Ranch is such a brand that is really exemplifying something so classy, and I honestly feel like they filled such a niche need in the industry. Western fashion's great, and there's so many elements to it, but something as classy and timeless as this, which also still incorporates those kind of vintage and really elegant textures and prints, was so needed. And so I'd love for you to walk us through kind of the vision behind these designs.
Well, thank you again for those kind words. So I'm going to take it back a step. My grandfather, he was always into fashion. And so he loved it. He was a slick dresser, and his sister, my great aunt, that's been her thing her whole life as well. And I've always admired how both of them dressed, and it filtered down into our whole family. But he was a suit guy. And at church on Sundays, I mean, he was dressed up. And so I was like, we were always dressed up. My parents made sure of that. And so I just have always loved that classic and just good look. And when we were talking about what did I want my first piece to be? What did I want to create? And I said, a blazer. I love a good blazer. And so I wanted an ode or a nod, I would say, with this texture and this style, kind of to the past of our industry and just some of the delicacy, I want to say. But the structuring of it, I was mindful of all ages, right? I wanted to cover the hips, cover the behind, do all those things. But I wanted it to be for everyone and however they wanted to style it, but I wanted it to remain classic. With a little bit of flair. But yeah, I just think for me, I think you can have fun with things, and all you need is one good piece. Yeah. And I tell people, never more than 3 items. There's times where I say more is more, and that's usually at the NFR, right? But if you have 3 good pieces on or 3 sections on, you're destined to look great wherever you go. But all you need is that one piece that can go with anything and go with everything and change your whole look.
And honestly, I feel like a blazer is something that so many of us pull for because of that. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, and you can dress it up in enough ways that it doesn't even look like the outfit that you've already worn it in. And I think these are all a beautiful example of that. These are great neutral tones that you can carry through seasons and carry through year after year. I really want to talk first about this monochromatic look that you have nearest you. This is something so stunning and so chic. Winter whites are a huge thing, so this is great for this time of year. Talk us through how you put that look together.
Well, I've always really been into the monochromatic look. I mentioned my great aunt Joyce. That's something she did growing up my whole life, and so I just have always loved it. And so I think you can never go wrong if you're in the same palette and the same color scheme of a family. And so I just put this silk dress on, and obviously this blazer. And I think all you need is a nice turquoise earring. Yep. If you wanted to do a little concho belt, you could definitely do that. Yep. But just sleek, classic. You walk into the room, someone's going to notice you if you're dressed like this. Yes. Especially, and then with this green one, I was like, let's have a little fun. Here's a pop of color. Yep. I also stayed in the same family, if you can tell that, obviously, but it had the pops of color. It's fun. I would do a pink boot with that, probably, maybe a gold boot. But again, a simple earring, nothing too crazy. And then even with the brown one, this is a little fun. If you want to be a little more casual, just a little brown suede skirt, again, same family. I guess I can't get away from matching things, monochromatic look, but just a white tank top even. So we can just dress it down a little bit. And honestly, you could put on a tennis shoe with that if you wanted. Yeah. But I'd do a short bootie or just, a nice classic cowboy boot as well. And so yeah, these 3 blazers, I also have a black one that I was going to wear and I left it in the back. But just something, I probably would pair that with black pants and a white t-shirt, or I would put it on with a black dress as well. And I know this seems a little formal sometimes for people, but I wanted to show that, hey, you could wear this day to night, right? And so this could be a daytime look, and this could be a nighttime look. Or if you Want to go for it? Walk through that Cowboy Christmas? Here you go. You could wear this throughout the day. Why not?
Be a showstopper.
Yeah.
This is the NFR. That's what,
Exactly.
the Western fashion scene of the NFR is all about, is really putting looks together that show your personality, but that you also feel your best in. And these are all such empowering looks. I also just want to touch on the green look here. A note that people sometimes are really afraid of mixing prints, and you've done that really well here. That pop of color really helps to tie it together and kind of add an unexpected element to it. But you, on your Instagram page, you style these blazers so many incredible ways. It's always gorgeous, and I continue getting inspiration from you for these. And as I mentioned, these carry through seasons, but there is also a new season coming with a little sneak peek here on the Roots Run Deep show today. This is a floral print, and I'm kind of loving it. Talk me through the design process of this one.
Well, this is spring 2026. You're right. So it is a sneak peek. And this is even the Kirbe blouse that I designed. And back in the day, I've always loved a bow up here because, again, I think it's something that just elevates your look as well. I love a good shimmer or metallic, and that might be coming future. You'll see that. But this floral look, I just wanted to do a set then. So I did a nice short. I also have a skirt that goes with it. But it's lightweight. It's something you can, again, dress up or dress down. You could put a t-shirt with that and a sandal, or you could put a nice cowboy boot. But yeah, I thought the floral set would be fun. I call it Ranch Romance is going to be that line. And it's just obviously a nod to all the women who have come before us on the ranch. If you go in some of these ladies' closets, let me tell you, the gems you can find.
Yep.
And that's where I've pulled all my inspiration from. I mean, it's the Double D from years past. My mom and I would stop in Sheridan, Wyoming, and there was this cute store. And this lady had just beautiful items in there, and they were vintage. I mean, they were jackets and pieces from years past. And so I look at all of this. Obviously, my favorite is always going to be Ralph Lauren, right?
Yes.
He's my inspo in everything. But again, he designs for his roots. And so when I'm designing something and I'm building these pieces in this collection, I think about what matters to me. And so, again, the blazer, but with some subtle touches, and like I keep saying, a nod to the past. And florals, it's fun, but it's not too crazy, right?
Yes.
I just think there's just a lot you can do with that. And so that's where I pull all my inspo from when making these pieces.
You mentioned that sometimes when you go in these generational closets, as they say, those vintage pieces are true gems. And it's so cool to see there's some inspiration of that here. I know there's some inspiration of that in your personal style. It's always a joy to watch what you're wearing and to also just watch your personality and your heart and soul for everything that you do shine through on camera and in projects like this. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Kirbe. Thank you for being who you are and for being such a passionate advocate for our industry, both on the agriculture and on the Western events side of things. Really have enjoyed having you on the show today. How can people follow along with you aside from watching you on camera?
Well, thank you so much, Mackenzie. Again, now I think you have to return the favor and come on
Yes.
Rancher. We'll get that
Absolutely.
season figured out. I know you're busy out there on the ranch most of the time. But you can follow me on my social platforms, Kirbe Schnoor.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. That one wasn't taken. Shocking. And then on RFD TV, you can watch Farm Her and Rancher. And I do various projects, obviously Market Day Report and different things like that for them. But yeah, follow along that way. And then you can also follow Lovely Ranch. We've got a lot of great things coming out. And we have a booth here at Cowboy Christmas at the
Yes.
Convention Center. So head on over. We're upstairs by 23,000. And yeah, I'd love to style you, help you out. Maybe purchase a piece, it'd be great. But yeah, again, thank you so much for what you're doing for our industry and having me on today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely go check them out at Lovely Ranch at the Convention Center. You can try on pieces like this. And if you have the opportunity to have Kirbe style you, let me tell you, you don't want to pass that up. Thank you so much for being here today, Kirbe. That'll wrap it up for this piece of Roots Run Deep Vegas edition. Lots more to come. We'll see you in just a bit. The holiday season is here and we're all busy talking about what's going to be on the dinner table. Of course, as a cattle rancher, I am a big fan of having beef be the star of the show, but we also know that side dishes play a pretty important role. Today I wanted to share a recipe with you for a twist on a classic. We all love a good sweet potato dish, but my sweet potato cranberry saute adds a few festive flares. Here's how to make it. In a skillet, bring 1 1/4 cups of apple juice to a simmer, and then add in about 1 pound of sliced sweet potatoes. Make sure you spread them around evenly so that they cook at an even temperature. We'll cover that and cook it over medium-low heat for about 12 to 15 minutes until those sweet potatoes are almost fork tender. From here, we'll add in 1 cup of peeled and coarsely chopped apple, half a cup of dried cranberries, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and just about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt to help balance out that sweetness. We'll just stir this together, cover it up again, and cook for about another 3 to 5 minutes until those apples are tender. Once the apples are tender, go ahead and uncover it, knock the heat down just to low, and let it go about 4 more minutes until that sauce is thickened up. Now that our saute is piping hot and everything's fork tender, we're gonna add that extra festive touch that I mentioned. First is about a 1/4 cup of Heath brickle bits, and then you wanna just add a few more chopped pecans right over the top for that little added crunch. This recipe and so many others that are great for the holiday season are in my cookbook, Roots Run Deep, Our Ranching Tradition, and you can pick one of those up on my website. Hey friends, welcome into Roots Run Deep Vegas edition. I'm your host, Mackenzie Kimbrough, and joining me on the show today is someone who is quite the powerhouse and someone that I have looked up to for a while now for her whole heart behind her brand, Cate of Range Revolution. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. Before we get into the story of your brand, I'd love for people to get to know you a bit more. Tell us about your roots and where you come from.
Thank you so much for having me. I grew up in Northern California. I was raised by 2 entrepreneurs themselves. I have 2 sisters. We lived in a rural part of Western Sonoma County. And I ended up finding my way to Central Oregon when I was in my early 20s. And I started volunteering on a farm there. It was a vegetable farm primarily. And I really fell in love with agriculture. Yeah. At the time, I was apprenticing to become a custom Western hat maker. I was about 22 years old. And together with who is now my husband, we have grown that little farm from 3 acres, leasing 3 acres and doing vegetables, to today we manage about 1,400 acres, and we do a diversity of different things. We raise cattle, we raise hogs, we raise the hays and the grains that we raise those animals on. We're holistic managers, and I've evolved in my world as a designer. I still make custom Western hats, but in 2021, I started Range Revolution. Yes. And these are the bags and the leathers we're here to talk mostly about, but that's the context of agriculture and design in my life.
And sustainability is something that is so near and dear to your heart, of course, so important in agriculture as well. When you first had this idea for Range Revolution, what is the heart behind that? What sparked this idea of such a sustainable brand?
As my husband and I started a direct-to-consumer meat business, I had to be a student of the economics of a family, not only a family ranch, but a direct-to-consumer meat business. And that is when I learned that every time we were sending a steer to slaughter to be meat on the plate for our customers, only about 65% of that carcass is being utilized. And 35% loss on every carcass is a major issue for our industry. And the reason that is happening for most family ranches in this country is we've really lost the aggregation for things like hides, offal, fat, and bones. And I think a lot about how we create greater resilience for the ranchers in this country, and that 35% economic loss on every carcass is one of the things we must address, both for an economic sustainability, but also from an environmental sustainability. And so that is why we decided to get to work on aggregating those hides and turning them into valuable leathers and then very beautiful, valuable products.
So, of course, with your time apprenticing for a hat maker to your time now designing these beautiful handbags, of course, there's a love for fashion that is alongside your love for sustainable agriculture and this important business concept. I'd love to know, when you are designing these pieces, of course, sustainability and the real heart of it all is that leather and the business of it. But when it comes to the design portion of things, that's a passion of yours too.
Yes. I can remember being in 4th grade, getting ready to go to 5th grade, and like designing what my outfits would be in 5th grade. And I think that little girl in me, like, it's a way to express who we aspire to be.
Yeah.
Style has such an incredible way of communicating that aspiration.
Yeah.
And so my designs, I really tend to, I'm attracted to really classic silhouettes, heritage designs, things that are going to be timeless. And so in the beginning, we started with only 2 colorways. We started with mahogany and black because most companies, they can call up the tannery and get any leather they want, and it happens fast. But because we actually start with the raw salted hide and then we take things all the way through tanning, finishing, coloring, we have to be very thoughtful about our colors. So it took about 4 years until this year we were able to expand from just the 2 colorways of the veg tan black and mahogany into now we have about 7, 8 different colors. We developed suedes this year. We developed this beautiful navy suede, a really beautiful Merlot suede. We did a chocolate suede. And so it's been a huge year of development. So I think about classic heritage designs, and I think about colorways that are going to be timeless.
And that's so important because these are truly heirloom quality pieces. They are meant to not only last a lifetime, but also be passed down through generations. And that's something that's so great about quality leather. It is one of the toughest materials out there, honestly. And it's something that really just kind of gets better the more that you wear it. And I know that's important to you as well. Of course, these are gorgeous pieces. You have all kinds of different designs in the line. Talk a little bit about what was maybe the first actual design that you made, and what are some of the later developments that you've had since that have also been popular with consumer?
The first design, when we showed up to Cowboy Christmas in 2021, I was about 4 months postpartum with my first son, and it was a push to even get to Cowboy Christmas with the product. Yeah. And we had a single product, the Rangeland tote. It's a really classic tote bag, full grain, veg tan leathers. It was actually 100% constructed in America. Even the hardware was made in America. And so we just had a little 10 by 20 booth upstairs. We had the 2 colors of that single design. And it was a feat to get here, and I'm so glad we made that effort. And each year since, we've treated Cowboy Christmas in the NFR as like a target for our development. It pushes us along every year. Sure. And you see the evolution of the business through our booth and our products. Yeah. To this year, we now have a 10 by 50 space downstairs, right on the red carpet. Yeah. We've got such a greater diversity of products. And actually this year, Range Revolution decided with the opportunity to expand our booth space, we wanted to also feature some of our other favorite women-owned artisan brands. So we created something called the Range Edit. And it is a group of about 6 different women-owned artisan brands and their beautiful heritage designs. So really this journey, I like this saying, if you have more than you need, build a longer table.
Yep.
And no doubt Range Revolution is still a scrappy young company, and we have plenty of our own challenges. But when we are given opportunities like a bigger space and really beautiful visibility on the red carpet, I really want to uplift those other women artisans that I am so fortunate to get to work alongside.
Oh man, that is so impactful for any young women watching out there, especially in this day and age with social media. I think it's so hard to see the vision of community over competition, especially as women in various industries. You know, being a business owner is hard. Being a one-woman show is hard. We all have our support systems, but it's great to be able to connect with those like-minded women that are really sharing the vision for something and to come together in such a collaborative space. I also wanted to talk about that today, so I'm glad that you brought it up. Yeah. There's so many great brands that you've brought in. Yeah. Let's. I know this is mainly about Range Revolution, but the Range Edit, something really special and unique, and not something that everybody really sees at Cowboy Christmas necessarily, or in trade shows and other places. There's so much heart behind all of these brands. Give a little shout out to each of those that are in with you this year.
Yeah. So as a part of the Range Edit, we have all the clay horses. Holly is an incredible artist out of New Mexico. I'm actually wearing her necklaces today. And she hand makes everything, and she does ceramics, and she's got really some of the most interesting, unique jewelry designs. We also have Westerly. Westerly, Dina is the creator of Westerly, her and her husband, and they're making incredibly fresh and bold Western apparel and accessories, fringe capes, A lot of girls are wearing Westerly this year.
They sure are.
It's fun to watch her like just really get it and go. We also have Nomadic Rain. Michelle and Helena, mother-daughter duo, they're creating these incredibly unique coats using old carriage blankets from the late 1800s, early 1900s. So they are historic textiles.
Yes.
We have Rusty Sagebrush. Kate Mannix is a rancher from Montana, and she's creating naturally dyed silk wild rags using botanicals to create the color path, the colorways. And we also have
Wayward Spirit.
Wayward Spirits, a woman-owned spirits brand. They're creating award-winning spirits. They're winning gold medals at all the blind taste contests, and they are using discarded whey from the California dairy industry. So similar mission as Range Revolution to create more circularity in our ag industry, create value-added products.
Yes.
Three Hairs Apothecary, tallow-based skincare, and then St. Helena Jewelry, and that is also Michelle who makes the coat. She's making this, again, historic jewelry based on curated pieces she finds from all around the world.
An incredible lineup of gals that you've been able to assemble for the Range Edit this year. Highly recommend. Before we finish the interview, there's a few more questions I want to ask you, but right now, first and foremost, for those that are watching the show and headed to Cowboy Christmas this weekend, where can they find you there?
You can find the Range Edit and all of Range Revolution's leather products. We're at booth 3214. You can't miss us. It's a big, open, warmly lit space. And I gotta say, one of the greatest compliments we've gotten throughout this show is people step into our booth and they say, wow, this is truly different. And there's a different feel to our space, there's a different look. And I'm just really proud that these are goods that are made in America, really beautifully curated assortments.
It's incredible to see the growth that you've had with this brand and, of course, becoming more and more recognizable, having these opportunities to bring in other brands and have that collaborative space. As a business owner, as a designer, and as someone with such a sustainable and economically impactful mindset, when you're designing these bags, we've got a lot of success going. I know there's plenty more ideas to come. What is a vision for the future for this brand?
Range Revolution had a big year of development where we went from moving pallets of leathers around at a time to getting to move truckloads of hides around at a time. And that step up in our aggregation efforts has created an opportunity to actually distribute business to business our finished leathers to other fashion brands who also want to tell a story of American sourced hides from ranches that really value conservation.
Yeah.
And that is an area of the business development. I just couldn't tell you how excited I am for it.
Yeah.
We actually executed on our first 2 wholesale orders of our leathers to other fashion designers.
Yeah.
You'll see our leathers at New York Fashion Week in spring of 2026 with a pretty major designer. And that the heart and soul of my mission is really to move as many of these hides from the waste stream into a value-added marketplace for them.
Yeah.
And so both by selling our bags to you or by selling our leathers to other designers who believe in this mission, that is the heart and soul of what I'm here to do. And I'll just add one more thing. The business side of growing this has been one of the greatest challenges. I'm getting my master's essentially through starting this business. And in the coming year, we're going to be working on an interesting model where we create a perpetual purpose trust that is embedded within Range Revolution.
Wow.
And we will create ownership for the ranchers who are a part of our supply chain and the employees of Range Revolution so that in perpetuity, the profits of Range Revolution will always be shared with the ranchers who are a part of our supply chain and with the employees of the company. And what that does for me is that no matter what the commodity market is doing in cattle or in hides, we will always be funneling a percentage of profits to those ranchers. And that means the world.
That's amazing. And that's something that I think, I mean, you could almost get emotional about that right now. You can tell there's so much passion and heart behind this brand and everything that you do. It's an incredible concept. It has been a privilege to get to have you on the show today to share your heart and soul behind it all with everyone at home and everyone here in Vegas. Of course, highly recommend checking out Range Revolution. How can people follow along with you if they're not here shopping Cowboy Christmas?
Yes, you can find us online at rangerevolution.com. All of our products are listed there. You can find us on Instagram at Range Revolution. And if you'd like to follow along on any of my other adventures, at Havstad-Casad is where I do a little bit more of a uncurated founder's view of things.
Which is so important too. Of course, there's so many of us out here looking up to you for how you're paving the way in so many ways, both in the business, how you run your business, and the whole concept behind it all. Range Revolution is doing something truly special and revolutionary, dare I say. Cate, thank you so much for being here with me today, right along the lines of what we do here at Roots Run Deep. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That'll wrap it up for this edition of Roots Run Deep here in Vegas. We've got more to come, but for now, we'll see y'all next time.